everybody! Today, Sarah and I are going to take a look at the game Explorers of Navoria from Dranda Games, so stick around. Hey gang, thanks for joining us at Tantrum House Studio 3. I'm Will Meadows.
And I'm Sara Meadows, and today we're reviewing the game Explorers of Navoria from Dranda Games. We picked this game up while at Essen recently. It's from designer and artist Meng Chun Lin, and it's for 2 to 4 players.
In this drafting and tableau building game, you're going to take on the role of an intrepid adventurer who has set out to explore some new continents that have just emerged from the sea. We're going to take a quick look at how the game is played, and then we're going to share with you our experience playing it.
In the game, players will take turns drawing 2 tokens from the bag, which will allow them a choice of which card to draft into their tableau.
And then once the appropriate number of cards have been drafted by all the players, you'll then reverse the turn order and you'll regather the tokens and place them into the town where you'll gain worker placement style benefits for whatever spaces you choose.
Players will be able to take the goods they collect and trade them from their ports for additional benefits.
And the more trading posts they build out on the board, the better those benefits will be.
Trading posts will also allow players to make better progress as they travel into the forest, desert, and mountains.
At the end of each round, new cards will come out, players will travel back to their furthest trading post, and turn order for the next round will be determined by the current score of each player. The player with the most points going first, and so on.
After 3 rounds, everyone will score points for any soldier cards or the endgame goals that they drafted, along with the favor tiles that were selected for the game, and the best adventurer will win.
Explorers of Navoria features a large board with all kinds of different things going on it. We're going to be traveling, we're going to be building, we're going to be trading, we're going to be collecting, we're going to be trying to draft the most valuable and powerful tableau so that we can score lots and lots of points at the end of the game. The game does feature a lot of different cards that you're going to get to choose from, and we're going to kind of run through some of those colors real quick just to give you an idea of how each card features. So I'm going to start off by talking about the blue cards. Those are the merchant cards. They're going to score you points during the income phase of the game. So at the end of each round, players will get to collect potentially points for any of the blue cards or any of the cards that feature that little income symbol on it. And those are going to get more and more powerful over the course of the game if you're able to collect more cards that will fuel that type of card.
Yeah, and one example of that is there's different faces of the different characters in the game, and so it may give you an income for how many faces you have of that specific type. So that's one example. The yellow cards are builder cards, and that allows you to put your trading posts out on the board, and then whenever you move past that, you can start from that spot during the next round instead of going all the way back to the beginning.
The red cards we've already mentioned are the soldier cards. They are the ones that are going to give you in-game points, and they're all going to be different, so it just depends on how well you're able to achieve whatever is on the card that you have.
The purple adventurer cards allow you to travel on those different paths, the mountain, desert, and so on. And if you, some of them will give you points for being at certain flags.
Yeah, there's going to be, the flags are kind of placed differently on each path, and so some of them might be easier to get more points on, some of them you might have to travel further along. Also, when you get to the end of those paths, you're going to immediately score points for however many flags are shown on that point of the board, and some of the different final destinations are going to offer you a lot more points than others, but they might be harder to get the flags on, so everything is kind of balanced out that way in the game.
Yep, and the green or artisan cards will give you straight up goods, the swords, apples, and crystals. Those are going to go on your ports, and then you'll be able to take the actions, and you can boost those actions by placing out your different buildings on the board, and then you'll be able to do some more additional things when you are able to unlock those spots.
Now, all these cards that we're collecting do have, as Sarah mentioned, the different species, the different face icons in the corner, and at the beginning of the game, you're actually going to set up your favor tiles for the game. You pick them randomly, you put them out on the board, and then whoever is able to collect the 5, I was going to say the most, yeah. Whoever's able to collect 5 first of that species will get to put their little a ribbon award marker out on it, so that at the end of the game, they will then score that favor token, that card, and it's usually going to be dependent on cards that are of a different color than the face that's on it. So if you get the hairy bear lion face, I don't know what it's called, that might give you points for blue and yellow cards or whatever at the end of the game. And so you are trying to get that card first and then try to rack up your cards so that you can get more and more points at the end of the game using that favorite tile.
Yeah, that is one strategy to keep in mind as you play is when you draft the cards, it's very important to pick ones that will work well for your strategy. But then what cards come out, that's it for the round. And so this is one of those games where you may have to pivot a little bit mid-game because maybe what you want, it didn't come out this round. And so having a couple strategies in mind as you're going about gameplay will be important. The very first time I played, I struggled a little bit with what is going to get me points in this game. What do I need to do to accomplish what I would like to do in the game? But after the first couple rounds, by the third round, I was able to figure out, oh, this is what I need to be doing.
Well, and that changes, as you were kind of saying, depending on what cards you're able to get added to your tableau. So you have the choice of those 2 tokens. You can put 1 token out to collect the card. The other one goes out into the village. And then we didn't mention this in the setup, but another player on their next turn can either decide to draw 2 tokens out of the bag, or they can take one of the tokens that's on the board that they know they want, and they can actually move it out onto the card and take the card. So you kind of, after your first turn, you've got the potential to choose something that you can get, or draw from the bag in hopes of getting one of the other colors that are remaining. And so, as she said, those cards only come out for the round. They're not going to be replenished until the end of the round. So you got to kind of scope out all the cards that are available and determine which ones you want to go for. Mm-hmm. If you don't get those, then you do definitely have to pivot. This
does have a lot of engine building qualities to it. There's engine building for trying to get income. There's engine building on moving along the paths and putting out your buildings so that you can then kind of hop, skip, and jump and be further along on those paths to hopefully get points every round for flags that you've passed. There's also engine building with when you put those buildings out, you can then get the resources to activate the actions that go on your player board. So there's I am not normally good at engine building games where there's one engine you're building, and if you don't do it well, you're not going to win at all. But this, since you need to pivot a little bit as gameplay goes, you can push and build one engine, and maybe this next turn or next round, those types of cards didn't come out, so you can work on a different one and kind of pick and choose as you go how you're going to try and win the game.
One of the, I don't know if it's a strategy or a secret that we kind of discovered, was that you're able to make your person at the end of each round travel back to the furthest outpost that you have. And so we kind of wasted a lot of time traveling the first time, I think, but in games that we played more recently, it's almost better to put your trading posts out first, because then your guy automatically hops up there. I don't know, there's a lot of different things that you can do in this game to give yourself a leg up. At the end of the game, at the end of each round, when you're sending your markers back to take your resources basically from the village, you also have to kind of think through that while you're doing the drafting, because a lot of times you can get enough resources to run your port to be able to take the bonuses. And so there's a lot of pre-thinking that you can do as well. We found that in 2-player games, it's a little easier. The game is just easier because you can get to everything that you want. That's kind of how a lot of worker placement games work. I think this game works better at 3 and 4, where there's a little more chaos happening out on the board that forces you to make more decisions and not always get exactly what you wanted. But I will say that I've enjoyed it. I enjoy the art, I enjoy the tidbits and the tokens. I think that if this game had come out 5 years ago or something, it would have been massive. This would have been a huge thing. A lot of modern games, it has a lot of modern things going on, and I think maybe because of that it might not stick out as much as it could have, but it's very smooth. It's got a lot of different mechanics, a lot of really nice components, a lot of fun stuff going on that I have very much enjoyed.
Yeah, I agree. I enjoy the artwork. The card art's great. The cards give you the information, and it's easy to figure out what they're going to do, and there's no confusion with any of the iconography to what you're going to do on your turn and how to play.
Yeah, and I think the designer illustrated it as well, so I'm sure all of that was going on in his mind, and it does. It comes out really smooth. It's a pretty gorgeous game, and we really had a good time with it. If it looks like something that you would enjoy, then we definitely would recommend that you check out Explorers of Navoria from Dranda Games. And then, as always, thank you guys so much for tuning in, liking all of our videos here, following along, keeping up with us at Tantrum House.